Hi stamping friends, I hope you all are doing well. Today I'm going to share some fun fold cards created from the Create with Terri card kit packet. It is a packet that I put together as one of my thank yous for using my host code. In the packet there are 6 4x6 designer series paper, 12 5.5 by 8.5 colored cardstock, and 4 5.5 by 8.5 whisper white or very vanilla, depending on what coordinates with the designer series paper. On the back of the little topper are some suggested layouts. There are many things you can do with this packet of cards. Enough cardstock to create 12 cards, and the suggested layout is just a suggestion. You can utilize it however you would like for your various cards. As I mentioned, I'm going to show a fun fold card. And in the packet, there are 6 different colors that coordinate with the papers. And I've provided 2 of each for the reason of a fun fold card. It works nice to have 2 of each, but you can interchange the colors, and I'll show you that at the end of the video. At the end of the video, I have lots of other ideas for this packet, some layouts. In the packet, you will receive 4x6 pieces of the Mosaic Mood Designer Series paper. It is really pretty. It's got some subtle colors to it, some fun designs, and it's all double-sided, so you have to decide which side you want to use for your projects. Sometimes that's the hardest decision. For the card I'm going to show you today, I'm going to use the terracotta tile and this print right here. I am going to cut the paper. So I'm going to start out with the designer series paper. For this fun fold card, the paper needs to be cut at 2.5 by 4. And all of this paper starts out 12 by 12, and some of it has designs that go all directions. And when you cut it down this small, then you kind of have to look at it to decide which direction do I want my images to go. I've got a butterfly that's going to be upside down if this rose is this way. And if I turn it this way, it's kind of upside down that way, but you know what? I think that might work out best. Most of the time I have the butterfly upside down. For example, right here, I would have the butterfly upside down, and I'm going to camouflage it with my sentiment. So I need to cut 2 pieces from this designer series paper that are cut at 2.5 by 4. So it's already 4 in one direction. I'll keep my cutter this way. And so it's already 4 in this direction, so I need to cut 2.5. As I mentioned, for this butterfly, I'm going to leave it flying upside down. They fly in all different directions. So I'm going to put it at my 2.5-inch mark on my trimmer. And we have 2 blades. One's a scoring blade and one's a cutting blade. So I'm going to cut that piece. And as I mentioned, my sentiment can cover this area up and kind of camouflage that a little bit. For this piece, my sentiment could go up here, be a little bit high, but I'm actually going to cut it this direction. No, I think I'll go this direction. I'm going to cut part of that butterfly off. This is sometimes the hardest decision. And we'll just camouflage that a little bit there. These roses are absolutely beautiful with that tile design. I didn't mention some of these pieces of designer, some of the sheets of the designer series paper have an embossed image, which just adds a lot of beauty to that. So we need to cut 2 per designer series paper. So one of the 8.5 by 5.5 by 8.5 needs to be cut in half at 4 1/4. These will be the card bases. So I'm going to cut these 2 at 4 1/4, and you can get 2 cards per 2 sheets. So this one needs to be cut at 2 3/4, which is actually in half this way, and stay at 8.5, but it needs to be scored at 4 1/4. So I'm going to score it before I cut it. That way I can score both pieces of cardstock before I cut it, rotate it, mark it at 2 3/4, and then cut that. So this is going to be the fun fold, and there we have the 2 pieces. So as I mentioned, you get 1 card per sheet, and when you do it this way, per 2 sheets, you get 2 cards. So we're all done with our cutting for that portion. and I'll go ahead and finish the rest of the cutting. So in this packet, you actually receive a Whisper White, 2 Whisper White and 2 Very Vanilla, because some of the Designer Series paper coordinates with Very Vanilla and some with Whisper White. So in the packet, there's 2 of each. For this packet here, I'm going to grab the Very Vanilla. And what I need to do is cut the inside piece to also be 2.5. So in this first piece, I'm going to cut 2.5 this direction and cut 4 in this direction. And that will be the inside for the Fun Fold card. So that's going to be the inside sentiment. And then for the outside sentiment, I'm actually going to use strips that are 7/8 of an inch in length. So I am going to go, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7/8 of an inch and cut a strip. And you need 2 per Whisper White and 2 per Very Vanilla. So I'm going to just do 1. And these strips are what you stamp your sentiments on. And I've already done that ahead of time. On my blog post, I'll have a PDF that you can download, and I have some graphics for that. It's showing that with those 2 Whisper White and 2 Very Vanilla, one you're going to cut 2.5 strips and then cut them by 4. You can have some excess piece on the side. The other one is just what I just did, the 2.5 cut by 4, get 2 here. And then we need 2 strips that are 7/8. And those strips are what you are going to stamp your outside sentiments on. I'm using a stamp set called Here's a Card, which works great. Any sentiments, any colors that coordinate will work good for you on that. So for the assembly of the card, we have our card base, and we have a Fun Fold flap and the inside piece, and one of the Designer Series papers that we've got cut. So before I start any assembly, I am going to cut an image out of one of these panels. And the reason I'm going to do that is it's going to be sandwiched between my cardstock. Nobody's going to know it's missing. So I'm going to go ahead and place this all the way in one of my panels. I'm looking for equal spacing here and here, and I'm going to cut out an image from the Label Me Lovely punch that is available in the mini catalog. And as I mentioned, if I put this on top, no one's going to even notice that it's missing. So what I'm going to do first is attach this panel. I'm going to apply my adhesive. I'm going to use the snail adhesive across that area. I like to take this image, go flat on the table, and then line it up, and I have about 3/4 of an inch border on the side. So I've got that portion done like so. The next thing I'm going to do is place this inside Very Vanilla. And I'm just going to apply my snail adhesive. And I always look at at least 3 of the sides when I put this inside piece in, equal spacing, and it all camouflages together. So it's not obvious, but there is a border around there. So now for the outside, I'm going to place this Designer Series paper down. We have about 1/8 of an inch border around the Designer Series paper and around this edge here. So I'm going to kind of look at this, make this all equal spacing here. This is going to be decorating the outside part of our card. And when you punch these out of different pieces, you can actually swap these around, and I'll show you that concept. Here's the concept with that right here, where, oops, not that sample, this sample, where I grabbed a punch out. I made all of these at this point right like this, had all of these images, and then assigned a different color to coordinate with all of these different ones. So I'll show you those. But we're going to, for assembly purposes and video time, we're just going to use this one. Now I mentioned this butterfly is flying upside down, but we can camouflage that a little bit and put our sentiment up here. You can actually put your sentiment anywhere you want, And I always look at my designer series paper to say, what do I not want to cover up? So sometimes you don't want to cover anything up, but then I'm just going to decide what to do there. So then what I'm going to do is take the sentiment that I have stamped here, and this strip is 7/8 of an inch for a purpose, for a reason. I'm going to use the everyday label punch and place this in, and it is narrower than the punch will actually cut out, but I made that size so when I punch it out, I can put it on this sentiment and it just layers so, or this punched image, and it layers so well. My videos are unedited. I know I have some bloopers, misspoken words. Hopefully the visuals can help you understand what I might have misspoke on my videos. So here we have that, and that's going to be our outside sentiment. I'm going to attach this with dimensionals, and I want to make sure that the dimensional doesn't hang over the side here. So my tip on doing that is to apply one dimensional on the image that's going to be attached, and on the end that is going to adhere to your flap. Then the other two dimensionals are going to be on this flap, right up panel, right on the edge. And I'm going to go right down like so. Then what you do is when you have the backings off, you can place this anywhere you want and not have to worry about it adhering over the panel, and you don't have any exposed adhesives. So that is a fun fold card, and you can go to the comment section of the video and find a direct link to my blog post where I have all these other samples. This is where I told you that I swapped out and changed up the color, and you decide whether you want the image, the outside sentiment, where the location is, and then some of the paper might work best to be turned sideways, so you have options like this. So there's some fun folds. You can always step up your fun folds and add a little bit more detail. And I have a previous project that I shared. You know, this is moving it in different, or layering it in a different location, but there's all kinds of fun cards you can do. And I just want to share this one with you. For a card like this, I've added another piece of Whisper White paper. So you've got the same concept that we just did, stepped it up by putting a layer on that first card base. Doing the same thing here, actually attached a ribbon before this went on. Now the tip on here is using a different punch. This is the Delightful Tag Top punch, and the foil paper is cut at 1 3/4 by 2 7/8, and you place it in the punch and punch it and place it in the punch again. And sometimes it works better. In my video that I shared, that's shows me, I show it upside down so you can see. You get holes on the edge, but once you stamp and punch out your image, this will cover that up. So that's another way to add some fun layering to your cards. There are so many different ideas. In the comment section of this video, I'll have direct links to other blog posts and videos that share different project ideas using a Create with Terri card kit. Thanks for stopping by, and as I mentioned, check the comment section for direct links, and there will be a PDF tutorial you can download on the cards that I'm sharing at the beginning of the video. I hope you all are doing well. Stay safe and stay healthy. Would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the red box under the video. Take care.